I was born into the truth, knowing Elohim and knowing his name, Yahuwah, before I could really even talk. As I grew up, I watched a wave spread over all the earth. The Father's name was being proclaimed on the mountaintops to ears that had never heard it before. When I was old enough to have some small understanding, I talked to many people that were filled with extraordinary zeal. They had just found a priceless gem in a field, and their hearts were burning with desire for the truth. I did not know why they were so excited. To me, this was normal, and I have always known it. I could not comprehend the feeling of being in utter darkness for most of one's life and suddenly seeing a blinding light. I still can't, not entirely, but I have some understanding now, at least. Seeing as how I was 10, 13 years old, it was extremely difficult to relate to how people felt. The only way I knew that the name was not normal is that most people called the Creator God, Jesus, Christ, etc. And for some reason, those that did would reject the true name with such unbelievable hatred. Those that had accepted the truth were filled with such zeal. They still are, and it's wonderful to behold, now that I have some comprehension. Over many years, since I was very young, there have been numerous winds of doctrine as well, and I have seen them rise and fall. Some have stayed, others have disappeared, and are hardly practiced today. Those that followed these were as zealous about it as when they had found the truth to begin with, as the day they had become an Israelite. The truth had left them wanting more. Everyone got out their magnifying glasses and searched for something that might be hidden. I've seen brothers and sisters take 10 verses from various parts of Scripture, ignore their context and meaning, piece them together, and say, "Aha, I have found something new." Look at me, everyone. I've often wondered why this was. They completely missed the message. Scripture is like a message that Yahuwah sent forward in time since the days of Moshe and the Ten Commandments. Did you get my message? Did you understand what I was saying to you? Or did you pick apart my word and examine every tiny little bit? I do understand, to some extent, the things that people do. I like to call it the all or nothing syndrome. I actually suffer from this myself at times. Let's just say there's a reason my nickname is
You having trouble, mate?
Okay, that's funny. I can't believe that. I can't. Okay.
Well, brother, it's very serious what you're saying, but obviously these glasses and what we're trying to do here is not working. So go, just continue what you wanted to say.
You're gonna put all of this into the one video, aren't you? Mistakes and everything. You want me to keep reading, or?
Yeah, well, keep going, and then we can talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually suffer from this myself at times. Let's just say there's a reason my nickname is Train. Fellow believers often find the truth. The next thing you know, they're wearing prayer shawls, yarmulkes, exceptionally long tzitzit. The women immediately cover their heads. The men grow great big beards. Some even start wearing robes. Others may even start reading various texts like the Talmud or want to study Paleo-Hebrew, as if this would bring them closer. Or maybe they try to take a Nazirite vow. Most do one of these, others will even do them all, and the one thing that follows with this is a puffed up chest and a head so big it hardly fits through the doorways.
So be it.
I've seen more believers strut around like peacocks than there are sticks to shake at them. What the problem is they're full of themselves, and they want more truth. They want to tell other people that they're doing something wrong because they used to be doing something wrong, and now they feel like they're doing something right. But what they need to realize is that we can't judge. We can't judge other people. It's what somebody else is doing, no matter what it is, you cannot judge them. You can go to them and say, hey, I don't think what you're doing is right. And that's fine. You can tell them what you think. You can't judge them. And then at that point, if you want to gain back your brother, then you have to, you can go to them with somebody else. And if they still don't hear you, you can go to them with the assembly. And if they still don't hear that, then you just turn aside and you say, okay, we're just not going to deal with you anymore. That's it. You've stood your ground on this. You're not going to budge. And you just treat them as if they're no longer a brother, but you don't, whatever you do, you don't speak gossip about them. You don't do anything that is negative, okay? You don't attack them. That's the end of it. That's the end. You never go back. You just tell them, they don't listen, it's over. You're not supposed to go over here and say, hey, this guy was cut off from the assembly. No, that's wrong. And a lot of people still do that, though. They don't understand that, the other side of the coin, where it's like, okay, well, you're supposed to forgive them and love them and forget it. It's over. It's done. And that's basically really all this article is saying. And they get so swelled up, though, with all this stuff that they're doing. They're wearing yarmulkes, and they've got their prayer shawl on, and they're doing all this various stuff, and they're forgetting. They've taken their eyes off of Yahusha. That's all you need to be looking at, is one person, and it's Yahusha. And if you're not looking at him, if you're doing something else, then it's obvious that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that's really all this article was. I was kind of, I guess I was a little bit fed up.
Brothers and sisters, Adam's written this amazing article, and he's given you a sample of it. We will we'll put a link on this video to where you can read the rest of it if you like to, because we don't want to spend all your time reading the whole thing. You can read it for yourself. But he's given you a sample. The interesting thing you were saying, mate, is that if somebody has a problem with another person based on what they think Torah says, and that other person apparently is not doing it according to their interpretation, the interpretation is still up for question. Whereas there's no interpretation up for question on do not judge, do not spread gossip, lashon hara, do not do it. That's not up for interpretation. That's pretty clear. Don't do it. So the people that are, if you go after a brother and attack them because of an interpretation you've made up or you think Scripture says, and then you attack them, what you're doing is actually worse than what they are apparently doing. Isn't it?
Exactly.
Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Welcome to one of possibly one or many shows, brothers and sisters. I'm sitting with Adam White. How are you, mate?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. As I said before, you've just read a sample of this amazing article that you were given to, all these things you were asked to say. How did that come to you?
Well, actually, it was just something I was literally on Facebook, and I was looking at a lot of things that people were saying on there. Oh, of course, my email's on, and it's making little beeping noises. But yeah, I was just on Facebook, and I was seeing a lot of things that people were saying, and it just struck me as so odd. There was all this hatred. People had, this opinion and that opinion, and the whole time I'm sitting there looking at it, I'm just thinking, okay, people, I didn't actually say this to anybody. Well, I said it in this article. you've taken your eyes off of Yahusha, and you're bickering with each other, and you're not focusing at all on what you're supposed to be doing. You're just arguing about this or that, and it's not working. Um, and these people are attacking other brothers. Not only are they attacking other brothers alive today, but they're also attacking brothers that were, that actually wrote some of the scripture themselves. You know, Paul, for example, they're attacking him. I don't know why, and it's just bizarre. They've missed the objective. They've taken their eyes off of Yahusha, and that's basically what this article's about.
So you would have a very unique perspective on a lot of things. I think you're the only person I've met anyway who has not had to come out from, I mean, I'm sure you've had to come out of a lot of things, but you haven't had to come out of the whore as far as the wine of doctrine is concerned. You haven't had to, change your whole belief systems like all the rest of us have. And I'm sure, according to the Messianic community, it'd be like growing up as Elvis's son, because you're absolute fame, and you're famous among Messianics, your family. Even if nobody else, that itself, and that could come with a whole bunch of headaches in itself, like, because your dad, you either love him or you hate him. So how has that perspective affected the way you operate? I notice you have a lot of aliases and things. Are you afraid for your life?
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not afraid for my life. Um, I have some aliases that I use, but that's only because online when you join a forum or something, you're supposed to have a name. You're not actually supposed to use your real name.
Oh, okay.
So I've started
know
doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Facebook was kind of weird because when I first joined that, it was everybody's using their real names, and I'm thinking, okay, well, most forums and websites that you join, they tell you do not use your real name, and so I'm thinking, okay, well, you're not supposed to use your real name, so I've got to use an alias. So that's where all that comes from. That's not something that I'm trying to hide. It's just, I'm not afraid. There's no fear. If Hashatan was to come after me, here I am. I've got Yahuwah fighting with me. So, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird growing up with all that stuff, but it's not that strange. It's just normal to me. Sure, there was people when I was growing up, other kids that I knew that they don't know who Yahuwah is. They don't use his name. And that's just I don't even know how to describe it. It's like, okay. I mean, how do I put that into words? It's not
It's just normal for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I was sitting there afraid because I have a different religion than everybody else. I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, these people feel this way about things. I feel another way. That's how it is. And it wasn't weird because, everybody else was celebrating birthdays and they had their little cakes and they would decorate their trees and they do their Halloween thing. And I would just quietly think to myself, okay, well, I know that's pagan, but I'm not going to attack them with it because they don't know that it's pagan. And I know that if I tell them it's pagan, they won't believe me. So I just kind of kept my mouth shut. It was just like, okay, well, I can be friends with these people. I just have to realize that they don't know what they're doing.
So your family always encouraged the more gentle approach. There was never any judgment or, having a go at anybody because they didn't know the truth. You were always encouraging to a gentler, loving approach.
I try to, and I've always it's I think part of it is because people that do come out of another faith or religion, um, they kind of feel a bitterness because they have been lied to by these false teachers that have taught them these things, and everybody they know, you, they're all their friends and family, they still believe in the teachings of these false teachers. And so they have this bitter hatred that comes with that. But when you're born into the truth and you've never known the false teachings and the false truth, um, then it's just like, who cares? You don't really care as much. It's just not, you're not sitting there freaking out thinking, okay, well, I've got to attack this person because of the way that they're believing. I've got to tell them that they're believing the wrong thing. No, you just approach it and you're like, hey, let me tell you about this, And it's like, okay, well, you don't want to believe in that. All right, well, come back to me and I'll tell you more about it later on. And it's just a friendly conversation. You approach somebody with the truth and you just tell them, hey, look at this. They turn you down. No big deal. You move on. You don't sit there and get mad at them, and you don't tell them that this stuff that you're doing is pagan, because that's just attacking and it's inflaming them.
Mm. Wow. The opposite to what we've all done. Yeah. Inflamed people. Mm. Wow. So you had a was it a parable or a scripture you wanted to explain? You want to talk about?
Well, kind of. I did want to talk about Paul just for a little bit. Brother Paul, people have lately gotten upset with him, and I think it's a misunderstanding. Yahusha talked about the parable of there was three men. One was given 10 pieces of silver, another was given 5 pieces of silver, and the last one was given 1 piece of silver. And the one that just had 1 piece of silver, he went and buried it in the ground. And, the master comes back and he says, why didn't you at least give this to the bankers? I would have at least collected the the interest off of it if you had at least put it with the bankers, but you did nothing with it. You buried it in the ground. So he took it away from him and gave it to the one that had 10. Now, everybody understands what that's talking about. It's like, well, you're supposed to go out and do something. You're not just supposed to sit around and you're not supposed to put your lampstand under a basket, but on a lampstand. You're not supposed to hide. And that's the main part of the parable, but there's also another part of it that's not readily talked about. And it's kind of what Paul was getting into later on. He was talking about how different people have different gifts. And they, there's some that teach and there's some that heal, etc. And when Yahusha was talking about the parable of the silver, he did mention, he's basically talking almost about a hierarchy. Now, people get confused and they think that the person that had the 10 is greater than the one that had the 5 and the one that had the 1 piece. But that's not true, because those servants, they were given that. It's not theirs. They were given that. Paul, he's talking about gifts, and he's talking about some teach, some do this, some do that, and that's given to them to do. Because they can do one thing or another, that doesn't make them greater. The mouth, we're all part of the body of Yahusha. The mouth doesn't say to the ear, I can speak, therefore I'm greater. Because, the ear can hear and the mouth cannot. So it's like, okay, well, how are you going to say that somebody's greater than another? But what we have to understand is there are some people that are given 10 pieces of silver. They're given that to teach or to do this or whatever. And to some, that might seem like that makes them greater because they're able to do this. And they teach a whole bunch of people. But each one of us are teachers in our own right. We all have the gift of teaching. It's just some have it more than others. And when we see somebody that is doing teaching and they're teaching a large flock of people the truth, I mean, I'm not talking about Nicolaitans or anything like that. I'm talking about somebody that is bringing the truth to a large group of people. That's fine. They're doing their job. We need to stop looking at them and saying, "Oh, well, you've set yourself up as a teacher, therefore, I'm going to attack you or whatever." We need to look at ourselves and say, "Okay, well, what are we doing?" And if you teach one person, if you just plant a seed, if you tell one person about the truth, then you've planted a seed, whether it takes root right away or whether it even takes root in that soil. You've planted a seed. You've done what the Spirit wanted you to do. And so the thing is that we think that the person that had the 10 pieces of silver is greater than the rest of them. We think that the person that has the gift of teaching or healing is greater than somebody that has another gift. And that's not true because they're given those gifts. Those are called gifts, okay? Now, Yahusha will literally leave his flock of, he has 100 sheep. One sheep went missing off into the mountains. He's going to leave his entire flock and go search for that one. And when he finds it, he brings it back to the flock and he rejoices. It's like, oh my goodness, I found my sheep that went lost. Now I have my 100 back. He's so excited. And that's, I mean, that the one is as equal in value as the rest of the 99. It doesn't matter which one went missing. They're all just as valuable as the rest of the entire 99. He'll go off and search for that one and bring it back and say, "Here we go. Okay, we've got our sheep back." And when the wages were given out, there was another parable that Yahusha gave. When the wages were given out, there were workers that were working in the field. Some had been working all day long. Some had just started half, in the middle of the day, and others just worked the last hour of the day. And he gave them all, the master that had them working in the field, he gave them all the same wage. He didn't say, "Okay, well, you that worked in the beginning, you get more than the rest of them." No, because what they did was just as valuable. And see, that's what we need to start doing, is we need to start realizing that we're all just workers in the field. And if we look at another worker and say, "You're not doing your job right," or "You're doing something about your job that's wrong," then what are we really doing? That's what the other servants were doing. They were standing around saying, "Well, you gave them more, just as much gold as you gave me. What's going on here?" And that's all I'm trying to say, is that we need to stop looking at each other and look at ourselves and look at Yahusha. We need to make sure that we are looking at Yahusha and not any of these winds of doctrine or attacking any other believers.
That's really interesting when you said about some people have lots and some people, the people, the 5 and the 10 and the 1 talent, they were gifts. They were given to them. They didn't earn them.
Right.
It wasn't like they were works. So you can't lift yourself up on anything. You can't look at another brother and think you're better or worse. It's wonderful.
Exactly. But we still do that, though. We still look at each other and think that, somebody's better or worse.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. I've run out of questions.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, is there an aspect of that or something? Or
Well, I wanted to say also, the other day I was forced to do a testimony, and my wife said to me, "What would you say to young men who are your age?" I went, "Oh, I wouldn't have a clue." Had to formulate it on the spot. But what you in a different area, you brought up differently to me, and you're also very online savvy as well, which I haven't been up until still not that savvy online. But it's when that evolution thing came about the seminar, you really turned onto that, and you were really like it touched a nerve. Like is that the sort of people you're dealing with a lot most of the time?
well, I've dealt with the evolutionists a little bit, and it kind of irks me because it's like, well, you can look at creation and then not acknowledge a creator. That's kind of bizarre. So I was just kind of like talking to them as kindly as I possibly could, trying not to let it get to me because it is a personal subject. And but the whole time I'm thinking, wow, really, you're looking at creation and you're calling evolution science. But how can you study science unless you study the one who created it? We wouldn't have science unless he created it. So it's like, okay, why would you do that?
Mm, yeah. Do you tend to talk to a lot of other people like your age, or do you? Because I think I think we have a task to reach these generations, and you've had a lot of since I've been chatting with you over the last year. You've had a lot of ideas on how to reach or techniques on sort of how to talk to younger people. That because I'm about to turn 35 in a few weeks, so I'm starting to get in just slightly in a different demographic than you, and so you've got a really fresh mind on the subject. What are you 20?
I'm actually 24. Don't tell
24.
anybody.
Yeah. So what? How do you talk to people like, or address the subject, or what do you find? What are your observations among the people your age?
Other people my age, I don't even know how to address it. I mean, I talk to people from 65 to 15. Just on, especially if you're just online talking to people, you don't even know how old this person is. It's just, and generally, you don't even think about it. You're just talking to them like you would any other person. I don't think there's really much of a difference between somebody that's older and somebody that's younger.
No.
It's just that older people, they have more world wisdom. They've been around long enough to say, okay, well, I'm not going to get worked up over something, or some older people are able to say, well, I'm not going to let this get to me. I'm just going to deal with it or whatever. Um, I think younger people are a little bit quicker to just get emotional over the whole subject, and you know, I don't even know how to describe it. They just kind of freak out. They're a little bit more aggressive. I think that's the right word.
Yeah. Mm.
There's not much of a difference between older people and younger people. They're all the same people.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, that's true. It was really helpful for people when you folks did that biography. What do you have any unique perspectives to bring to that as well? What was it like growing up for you? You kind of answered it, but was were you constantly getting hate mail and people coming around? And did you see your dad much? Was he working while you were growing up, or what was life like
Actually,
for you?
when I was growing up, Dad was around a lot more than he was when my brother was growing up. Um, and so I got to know him a lot more than I would have normally. he was, and because see, right around the time that I was born is when he was learning the truth.
Mm.
So by the time I was even, he was basically learning the truth when I was born. That's right around the time. So by the time I was older, he knew it, and he was teaching me, and there was lots of family time because we've got the feasts that we're celebrating and every Sabbath. Whereas, I don't know. It was just different. I know that it was different before then. I've heard that, but because he used to work a lot more. Um,
As you would. Mm.
you know, but yeah, basically my dad just taught the commandments every day. We'd wake up in the morning and he'd be telling us, or telling me at least about the commandments, and and then later on at night we'd be sitting down to have our evening meal, and there he is again talking about the commandments. That's all he was talking about. It's like we had to recite the commandments,
Yeah.
but no, there wasn't really any hate mail. There wasn't anybody like, they are attacking a whole lot more now, but back then, as far as I can remember, there wasn't really that many people hating. They were just so happy to have the truth. And then years down the road, some of these same people, they turn vile. I don't know what happens. It's just kind of strange, but whatever.
Mm.
You know. Um,
That's wonderful, brother. Mm. You offer a very unique perspective. Like I said, you haven't had to come out of the whore's mindset, as far as doctrine is concerned.
right.
That's a big thing.
So they say. I mean, it's not like
It's not to you though.
I don't know. I don't know what it would be like. I guess it would be like being in darkness and suddenly seeing light.
Yep.
Um, and people get real freaked out about it, I guess sometimes. But there's nothing to freak out about. You just live your life like you would normally. You don't change your life. You change your heart, and there are some things that you're going to do now, but mostly what you do is you stop doing some things that you were doing previously because you know that isn't okay. you know um, but there really isn't anything that we're supposed to like actively. I mean, I'm just a normal person. I just act like I'm normal. I'm not trying to puff myself up and make myself look better than somebody else. I'm just normal.
Mm.
you know I don't even know how to describe that.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic, mate. Good. You're so are you working right now, or you've given your life over to the Torah Institute, have you?
I'm actually right now. I'm pretty much strictly working for the Torah Institute. I don't have any other jobs going right now. I was doing some other stuff previously, like last year. I was working with my brother, and that's kind of stopped. I mean, it wasn't what we were trying to do wasn't really going anywhere at the moment. And then I realized that I wasn't doing what I had an opportunity to be doing what I should be doing, and I wasn't doing it. So now I've decided that, okay, well, just take the opportunity to do what you're being told to do.
Mm.
And now my brother, he's actually the business ventures that he was previously trying to do are actually working for him now. And he might not admit it, but one of the reasons why that happened was probably because I walked away from it and started coming over here doing this stuff. It probably wasn't going to take off because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was doing something else.
Mm.
And so I might have actually been holding him back from doing what he wanted to be doing, um, because I was supposed to be over here doing what I'm doing now. I know that's a little bit convoluted, but that's basically I think that might have been what was going on.
Well, we're glad you'd come over because I remember a year or so ago, because when we first came into this movement, like I said in my testimony, I just thought anybody who's written a book is like a rock star. So naturally they're going to have this massive following and teams of productions around them. And then when we started watching a couple of videos, and we couldn't hear it, and the quality wasn't really that good. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? What's happening? And then, a few other seminars we watched, there didn't seem to be anybody much around, and your dad seemed to be doing it himself, and I really couldn't hear his voice, and it was really poor quality. And Chris and I had a lot of talks and said, what's going on over there? We thought there was a lot more support and backup and teams, and we realised, because we were coming out of Christianity, so that's how they are. Right. But we realised just normal people. So
yeah,
and so we were really excited when you came back and sort of started throwing stuff around. We thought, oh great, we can hear everything, and quality's on the increase.
Right.
Because then I found out Lou had these sons that were audio video technicians, and I nearly hit the roof. I went, where are they? But you can't say anything or joke. I don't know anybody else's walk. Like you said, it's none of my business. So I was shocked when I heard he had. I think at one point down the line, Lou said, "Yeah, my son's a video audio technician." I went, "What?"
Right.
Why can't I hear any of the seminars?
That's because we weren't doing them.
So it was it's really lovely to have you around, mate.
Thank you. But yeah, I mean, people think that Torah Institute is some sort of big organization or something. It's just like 3 people, 3 or 4 people here. Yeah. We're just trying to do what we can, We're struggling, yeah. And we're not doing anything shady. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Well, the branches are growing and extending, so it's happening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's spreading. Mm-hmm. So hopefully there'll be
that's good.
More backup, more support, more gifts, more everything flowing. It'll be wonderful. So,
right.
Mm.
Well, we all need to support each other, because we're each one of us. We are all doing the work that the Master has set us to do. At the very least, we need to give each other prayer support. That's the most important thing, because see, we own nothing. None of this is ours. It all belongs to Him. Every molecule in your body belongs to Him. He made it. There's no way that you can say that you have or have done anything special, because whatever you've done is just something that He's allowed you to do. And that's the end of it, or it should be the end of it. But yeah, the branches are growing.
Wonderful. Well, have you got anything else you want to add? Or
I can't think of anything right now.
That's all right. We'll get a bit of a rapport. We'll warm up to it as we go along.
Yeah, but we did it. We did it. We
did the first show. We started it. Fantastic. You've gone the romper stomper. You got a crew cut.
Oh, yeah. I decided to shave it off earlier today.
Earlier today? Wow, it's fresh.
Yeah, I cut my own hair. I don't let anybody. Sorry, I know that you're in the hair business, but I don't let anybody touch my hair.
Yeah. Fantastic.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Great. Well, we'll post. Have you got that on? You've got that on face. Yeah, you got it on Facebook, haven't you?
Yeah, I do have it on. I do have it on Facebook. I can't remember where it is exactly, but I can send you a copy if you want it.
Well, I need the link. We'll put the link on the so people can read the rest of the article.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
it's a really amazing article, brothers and sisters. It's a very fresh perspective. Next show, you'll have to take us through all your rules. That was brilliant.
Oh yeah, those rules. Those weren't actually written by me though. That was another brother that wrote those out. You know.
You went all silent after that. What happened to that? We're getting all these links and setting up Facebook pages and everything, and then you've gone all radio silent. What happened?
Hmm.
You went on radio silent. I haven't seen you on Facebook for a few weeks.
Oh yeah, I kind of backed off of that. People were just, it was just too much. I mean, it was like, wow, these people don't want to sit down and talk rationally. And honestly, the thing is that some people are, they need to realize that they are young in the faith, and there's some people that are older in, or it's more like in the spirit. Some people are older and more mature in the spirit, and some people aren't. And it's like you have to start out small and work your way up to the bigger things. You can't just jump in to the big stuff and expect not to be blown around. You have to first plant your feet on the foundation, which is Yahusha, and understand that. Um, and there's just a whole bunch of people on Facebook just running around. They're not planted. They're just attacking each other left and right. And it's like, really? I mean, why are you doing this? And there's actually a new movement that seems to be going around. People, this is actually kind of important. People are starting to believe that it's okay to hate, or maybe hate's too strong of a word, but to attack other people. They actually think that it's okay to hate other people because Yahusha was saying these nasty things about people and saying, "You wicked generation," and I can't even remember.
Vipers.
Right. He was just saying all this stuff, and what people have missed is that Yahusha is the king. He's the king of the universe. He can say whatever he wants. We're not to be going around saying that, because if we start judging, the most important thing for us to have is love for one another. And if we start judging like Yahusha was judging, then we've overstepped our boundaries. That's not for us to do. I mean, what man can say that, okay, well, I'm going to attack this person and tell them that they're not doing the right thing? And that's just going all over Facebook, that these people think that it's okay to call other people, Gentiles, whores, and so forth. Right.
You're disgusting.
Right, and it's not true. It's like, you don't have the authority to do that. What power do you have? We're all just ants. We're ants on an anthill, and that's all we are. We're even less than that to Yahuwah himself. As far as Yahusha views us, we're not even ants. We're not even that good. We're just these little specks of dust, but somehow we believe that we have the right to say something to the other worker ant that's doing his job or her job, and we don't have the right to say anything to any other ant. We just need to do what we're doing and focus on the person that we're supposed to be focused on, which is him and nobody else. Okay, I'm through.
Well, that's great, mate. That's great. Hope to hear much more.
All right.
Yeah. Well, you're coming into probably everyone's asleep in your house now, are they? Or
Actually, it's 10:16 p.m. right now, so No, we haven't actually gone to sleep yet over here, but
I thought, as in a few of your dad's emails, he said, I'm going upstairs to my office. I thought his office was near the front door and you were upstairs in a soundproof room. Now you're saying you're downstairs.
I am downstairs, and I don't have a soundproof room. Now, I do have a soundproof room that I do audio recording in, and it's not necessarily soundproof. It just has carpeting on the walls and really good insulation. Um, but but my dad and my both of my parents, they work in a room upstairs, um, and near the front door, and both of their offices are kind of in a little room over upstairs, and I'm down here in the basement next to my room.
Ah, your front door is upstairs.
Right.
Ah, so you got like split level. Your house goes down a hill, does it?
Um, Actually, it has three levels. It has a walkout. It's kind of a walkout basement down here. On the bottom, I'm in the basement, and then the first floor would be upstairs, and then above that is kind of a Jack and Jill, a bedroom bathroom thing for children mostly. That's what it's set up for, is for children. Because when we built the house, my brother was actually building it for he was building it with his kids in mind, because this is the kind of house that he would want his kids to live in. And he figured most people would want this kind of a house for their family. So that's what he built it for. We were originally going to sell the house, and then that kind of all tumbled over on its head, and now we're living here. My parents had to buy it just so that we could get ourselves out of the situation, because nobody was going to buy it. We had to pay for the construction and all that.
Just before people start writing in, your parents are in massive amounts of debt. They didn't just come along and flash a few wads of money and I'll buy the house, no worries.
Right.
We'll put it with our other mansions.
Oh, right. All those mansions,
Yeah.
right.
And the yacht and the
No.
Yeah.
No. We're just trying to keep our head above the debt, and right now we're kind of sinking. It's a boat that's going way down and fast.
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything else, or?
I'm happy with all that, mate. Yeah.
All right.
We all need to be praying for each other, and if you've got the means to, well, there's a gift of, is it supporting or helps or something like that? If you've got a gift of that, you should cough up with the dosh and help. If you feel that's what your gift is, it's given to you from Yahusha anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So help out where you can help out. Pray where you can help. Pray where you can. Lift each other up in prayer and support, and look at the emissaries. They just came together. They didn't feel that anything was their own. So,
right.
So we should use his body, and I think doing shows like this is sort of starting to encourage people to sort of come forward, show who you are, be part of the body, and come forward and join the love. Get into the love. Bring your sense of humor. Bring your sense of humour with you. You only got to look at half the things you were created to see. That's a sense of humour, mate. So,
right.
Not those little animals. So, it's okay to have fun.
Exactly.
Well, that's amazing, mate. I'm glad we got this first show over in Dublin.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So, see what we can do with it. We'll have to sign. We'll have to sign off the way we signed in. There we go.
Oh, do we?
Yeah. I can't decide if this is Blues Brothers or Men in Black or what it is.
Well, it's something.
It's something or nothing. Love you, brothers and sisters. Shalom.
Shalom.
See you, mate. Love you. Enjoy the rest of your... We're coming into Sabbath, aren't you?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
All right.
Well, I'll be in touch.
Peace, brother.
Yep.
All right.
See you later.
See you later.
Bye bye.